Across the prairies, the wind is a constant companion. Drifting down from the mountains, across hills and valleys, forests and plains, the wind is a harbinger of change. It whispers warm breezes across snow-covered winter landscapes and caresses sunny summer evenings. It whips up snow into blizzard frenzies and boils up ominous black clouds of prairie thunderstorms. And if you listen closely, you might hear messages in the wind which speak of hope, change, and renewal. This is Voices in the Wind, a regular broadcast from the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre where we share news about our mission to end sexual violence and child abuse across southwest Alberta.
Hi, my name is Samantha Scott, and I am one of the External Communications and Sustainable Fund Development Officers here at the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre. I would like to welcome you to this episode of Voices in the Wind, a podcast dedicated to exploring news and information about sexual abuse, sexual violence, and child abuse. This can be a difficult subject to tackle, but we want to take a hopeful and uplifting approach. To do this, we hope to showcase the outstanding work being done to help those who have experienced abuse, while striving to offer the kind of insights and awareness that can lead to meaningful social change. Before we get started, I just wanted to let you know that we may touch on subject matter that is uncomfortable or triggering. If you feel like you need help, please reach out to our office at 403-694-1094 or to the Alberta One Line for Sexual Violence at 1-866-403-8000. You can also visit our website at CSAC.leth.ca. In this episode, we would like to feature our Chinook Child and Youth Advocacy Centre, or CCYAC, and we're very happy to welcome Cheryl Patterson to our show. Cheryl is the manager of the CCYAC, where she leads the coordination of services supporting youth and children who have experienced abuse. With over 20 years of experience in human services, Cheryl has dedicated her career to advocating for vulnerable populations and strengthening trauma-informed practices in child advocacy. In her role at the CCYAC, Cheryl works closely with multidisciplinary partners to ensure a seamless, compassionate, and coordinated response to child abuse cases. She has been instrumental in strengthening interagency collaboration, developing trauma-informed policies, and ensuring best practices in child-focused advocacy. Welcome to Voices in the Wind, Cheryl.
Thank you.
So, to start, let's maybe clear up a bit of confusion that some people may have regarding our center. Can you explain what the CCYAC is and how it is affiliated with the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre?
Absolutely. So the Child Advocacy Centre really is a child-friendly, safe place where children and youth who have experienced abuse, any type of abuse, can come along with their non-offending caregivers and receive supports through the reporting, investigative, and judicial processes that are sometimes involved. And we work together with our multidisciplinary team that you mentioned. And so the idea really is that children and families can access services and supports from all of our team members from one safe, child-friendly environment, which allows us to do some information sharing and really reduce that secondary trauma that children can experience. And the center itself, the Child Advocacy Center, is a program of the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre. So although we operate within the same building but at different locations, so we're separated services, we are very closely connected.
That is great. Now, I know that the CCYAC is a relatively new program. Can you maybe take some time to share a little bit about the center's journey and how it came to be?
Absolutely. So the Child Advocacy Centre, the need for a Child Advocacy Centre within Southwest Alberta was identified fairly early. So prior to a Child Advocacy Centre being in place, we really had a system where children and families had to go to different places and tell their story multiple times to multiple different people in order to get the services that they needed and navigate that system on their own. We did a feasibility study prior to the centre being opened, and it's actually modeled, the Child Advocacy Centre model is throughout the world, really, but started in Alabama in the United States, and our centre is one of 9 in Alberta, so we're well supported by our provincial and national networks as well.
And I know that there was a pretty substantial capital campaign to create the wonderful space that we now have for the CCYAC. Can you tell me a little bit about that effort and maybe talk about some of the features of the centre?
That effort was indeed quite an adventure. So we started our capital campaign for the Child Advocacy Centre. I believe we launched it, and 2 weeks later, COVID hit. Which put the world on its edge and made fundraising a really big challenge during that time. But we received tremendous support from community organizations, businesses, private donors, personal donors, and leaders within the community to help us raise awareness, raise funds for the centre. And in the meantime, it's actually, when I look back on it, we rented the space that the centre is currently in because we needed to do that as part of our capital campaign, to have the space and have the drawings done up. But we had no walls and we had no flooring and we had no furniture. And so we worked down there temporarily on folding tables and office chairs for quite a long time until our clinical therapy services started. And then we had to move into a temporary location so that clients could come in and see our psychologist. But yeah, it's fond memories of folding tables. So.
And it's been so cool to see how much it's transformed into such a safe space and such an important space, and such important work that also happens there. Can you tell me a little bit about the programming that we offer and how we really help children and youth that have experienced that abuse?
Yes. So within the centre, we spoke a little bit about our multidisciplinary team. So within that space, we offer services, again, right from the point of reporting all the way to the conclusion of judicial processes. So services we offer start with primarily a child interview that is usually conducted by either law enforcement or children's services, and that's done on site within our centre. And that really just increases the likelihood that the child's only going to have to tell their story once, because everyone who's involved in that investigative process can have access to that information. We share perspectives so that we can collaborate. So they come in for a child forensic interview. They're connected immediately with one of our child and family advocates. And they are the ones that really kind of guide the youth and the families through the entire process. They're their point of contact, their key support. And so we provide psychosocial education on trauma, what trauma symptoms may look like, how families can support their children as they heal and go through this process. We do court preparation with children and families. We do court accompaniment. We actually have on-site ability to do remote testimony out of the centre. And we also have our clinical therapy program as well. And so children can access therapy and supports while they're with the centre as well.
That is awesome. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for answering those questions. We're going to take a little bit of a break, but when we return, we'll talk to Cheryl more about the multidisciplinary approach of the CCYAC and a little bit about the therapeutic services we provide. For now, here is Brett Brown with Chinook Wins, a look ahead at some of the exciting things happening in March.
I'm Brett Brown, and welcome to Chinook Wins, our monthly summary of news and events at the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre. Currently, we're looking for artwork for an exciting art display we're hosting during Sexual Violence Awareness Month. Impact Unveiled, Beyond the Silence will be hosted at the Yates Theatre Gallery during May. Our goal with this display is to create a space where individuals impacted by sexual violence can feel seen, heard, and supported. We also hope to encourage important conversations in the community. While the focus of this project is to support individuals impacted by sexualized violence, submissions do not need to directly access this topic. Instead, we invite art that celebrates survival, healing, strength, empowerment, and the emotions tied to these experiences. Artists from all backgrounds, disciplines, and identities are encouraged to participate. This is a chance to showcase your creative voice while contributing to an installation that inspires change and offers meaningful support to a vital cause. For more information or to apply, visit CSAC.ca and look for our link tree. Do you have empty cans and bottles piling up? You can turn them into a powerful way to support our organization. Take your empties to either the West or North GPS Bottle Depot location and ask that your bottles be donated to the Chinook Child and Youth Advocacy Centre. You'll find the West Side GPS Bottle Depot at number 10, 872 Heritage Boulevard West, while the North Side location is at 613 13th Street North. If you're feeling creative, we invite you to join us March 20th as we learn how to make canvas collages in our Creative Pathways to Wellness group. Creative Pathways explores different types of art to help participants stay in the moment, cope, practice self-care, and build fun hobbies. It's a safe space to create and connect with others. Phone our office at 403-694-1094 to pre-register. The Chinook Sexual Assault Centre is participating in Run Wild, an annual running event to raise funds for child advocacy centres throughout Canada. There are several different distance options to choose from, and your participation will support the good work of our Chinook Child and Youth Advocacy Centre. Locally, Run Wild is held as a virtual event, but we invite you to register and then join us May 3rd between 12 and 3 p.m. at beautiful Henderson Lake to participate. To register, visit www.runwild.ca. Select your preferred race distance, then, when filling out the form, make sure to choose the virtual option. You can then join our Chinook Child and Youth Advocacy Centre team by selecting Add to Existing Team option in the Team section. Then choose Other from the drop-down menu, and you will then be able to select our team from the next drop-down menu. And finally, the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre is now on Blue Sky. It's just one more way for us to reach out with news, education, and information about upcoming events. You'll also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, X, and on YouTube, where you're likely watching this broadcast. We encourage you to like and follow us on these platforms and to share posts that you find interesting, educational, or entertaining. It really helps us spread the word. That's the way the wind's blowing this month. We'll see you again for Chinook Wins.
Thanks so much, Brett. Welcome back to Voices in the Wind, where we are speaking to Cheryl Patterson, manager of the Chinook Child and Youth Advocacy Centre, or CCYAC. And before the break, we were talking about the services that the center provides. What I think is so amazing is the partnerships that have come together here at the center. Can you talk a little bit about the multidisciplinary approach and how it works?
Absolutely. So we are really fortunate to have a number of partners that we get to work with on a daily basis. And it's really about that multidisciplinary approach of bringing people together from all different sectors with different mandates who have shared goals of keeping children safe and ensuring that they have the supports and services they need. So within Southwest Alberta, we actually are a little bit unique in that we have more law enforcement and children's service partners than some of our other counterparts across the province. And we work with Lethbridge Police Services, Tabor Police Services, Blood Tribe Police Services, and RCMP, as well as Pecani Children's Services, Blood Tribe Children's Services, South Region Children's Services, Recovery Alberta Mental Health, and Crown Prosecution Services, and our local school districts as well. So really it's about, I mentioned everyone having different mandates. So of course law enforcement will have a different mandate with their investigation than perhaps children's services, or absolutely than what our clinical therapy teams will have. And so it's about, we established relationships and protocols to really kind of define how do we meet everyone's needs for their mandates while keeping the children at the center and the focus of what we do and why we do it, and how we can collaborate to ensure that they receive enhanced, specialized supports that reduce that secondary trauma.
Thank you so much for that answer. And it really is so refreshing to see that cooperation and collaboration between the agencies. Now, switching gears a bit, I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into some of the programming at the center. So to start, can you talk a little bit about the importance of the therapeutic services that we offer?
So we are very lucky to have the clinical services that we have, and it's under the direction of Dr. Kate Swartzenberger, who's been able to provide some expertise to help enhance the clinical services we have. So trauma-specific therapeutic services for children are unique and require some evidence-based practice to be able to really achieve those results and produce better outcomes for kids. So we really align any service we offer, again, needs to be evidence-based, needs to be well researched, and therapy isn't always comfortable, but the end result is really what we're focusing on, is that health and that healing for children and their families. Another unique feature of our clinical services is that even if and when court proceedings begin, our therapeutic services don't stop. So we don't pause for court. There's no interruption in the services we offer.
And that's such a great segue into another important role that we have, which is supporting children and youth and non-offending family members through the justice system process. So can you walk me through how that works a little bit?
Yeah, the justice system can be very overwhelming. It involves a lot of terminology that is not everyday language for the majority of people, and just navigating that system can be very complex. And so really our role within our center is that our child and family advocates take the lead on that process and make sure that everything is presented in a manner that children and families can understand. So we do court preparation with children and their non-offending caregivers. So looking at who's all going to be in the court when we have to go. What is the role of everyone there? Who all knows my story? Will I have to see the accused? What are some of the options that are available to me? And we are really lucky, as a side note, because we support the child forensic interviews at our center. There is the opportunity for those interviews to be adopted as a child statement. So we do have an increased likelihood, because those interviews are done by trained forensic interviewers with a specialty in that interview process, that we have an increased likelihood that they will be adopted as their statement. However, they still need to be cross-examined. So we also provide court accompaniment for children and families as well, so that we can support them through the entire process and help them address things as they come up. But we also have the ability to have remote testimony at our center as well. And so that really allows children to come back to a center where they've come for their interview, they've come for their emotional support, they've come for their therapeutic services, and now they can return to that same familiar environment and be able to attend court remotely without the risk of seeing their offender or accused without long waits of strangers and intimidating factors that sometimes we find within court systems.
And I know that our CCYAC keeps getting busier and busier. Can you share a little bit about the demand for the services we provide and why that demand seems to be increasing?
Absolutely. So we started working with our multidisciplinary team to receive referrals and support each other through the process of supporting children back in November of 2021. So this was prior to the physical location being renovated and the doors opening. Since that time, we've seen a steady increase in referrals, and that's not an indicator that child abuse is increasing. It really is representative of awareness in the community that we exist, that we don't accept community walk-ins or community referrals. All referrals for the Child Advocacy Centre, unlike the Sexual Assault Centre, come from our law enforcement and children's service partners. But there is an increase of awareness of services, so people know where to go. We have developed processes with our partners and strengthened relationships, and that knowledge within their own teams of what that process is for referral, how they access those supports. And so that really influences the increase to numbers that we're seeing locally.
Awesome. And so before we wrap up, can you just share with our viewers what they should do if they suspect that abuse is happening, or what we should do if someone discloses to us that abuse has happened to them or somebody else?
Yeah, it's really important if we suspect that a child's being abused to make those phone calls to the appropriate places. So really, if it is within a family context, phoning children's services and reporting, law enforcement will take a call involving family or non-family offenses, and so your local police and RCMP are perfect places to report. When we receive a disclosure, again, we do want to report, but I think the primary thing we want to remember is that we want to stay calm and we want to express appreciation to the child for them feeling comfortable to share that story. So we know that when children disclose, they've identified us as a safe person, and we want to acknowledge that. We also want to protect their confidentiality. So it's not about telling everyone within your circle what has happened, but telling the appropriate people who can do something to support that child is essential. But we don't want people to be investigators. So don't seek out more information. Let the child lead. Let them share what information they are comfortable in sharing, and thank them for that trust, and that you're going to contact a friend or someone who can provide that support. And then just making that report is really important.
Thank you so much for that advice, Cheryl. With that, we are wrapping up this episode of Voices in the Wind. Please join us next month when we'll have another great episode. For more information about the Chinook Sexual Assault Centre, please visit our website at csacleth.ca or call our office at 403-694-1094. If you need help, you can also call the Alberta One Line for Sexual Violence at 1-866-403-8000. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next month.